Right now, as you watch this video, somewhere in the world, a massive oil tanker is sitting completely still, carrying enough crude oil to power an entire country for days. Not because it broke down, not because of a storm, but because of a narrow strip of water that is barely 21 miles wide at its tightest point. A strip of water so strategically critical, every single major economy on Earth is watching it with absolute terror. That strip of water has a name, and that name is the Strait of Hormuz. One waterway, one choke point. And the entire global economy is hanging by a thread because of it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the place where we break down the world's most complex geopolitical and historical events. Today, we are doing a deep dive into one of the most consequential geographic locations on the planet. A place that determines what you pay for gasoline, what airlines charge for your ticket, and how stable the global economy remains. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at a gas pump the same way again. Let us start with the basics. The geography. The Strait of Hormuz is located between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. On one side, you have Iran. On the other side, you have the United Arab Emirates and Oman. At its narrowest point, the strait is only about 21 miles wide. That is narrower than the English Channel. The shipping lanes are even tighter. 2 lanes, each just 2 miles wide, with a 2-mile buffer zone in between. That is the entire pipeline through which the global oil economy breathes. Approximately 20 to 21 million barrels of oil pass through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. That is roughly 20%, 1/5, of all the oil consumed on the entire planet, every single day. And it is not just crude oil. Liquefied natural gas, or LNG, flows through here in massive quantities as well. Qatar, one of the world's top LNG exporters, is entirely dependent on this strait to get its gas to global markets. Japan gets about 80% of its oil through this strait. South Korea, India, China, all are essentially tethered to this waterway. If the Strait of Hormuz closes, even for a few weeks, the ripple effects would be felt in every household on this planet. Now let us talk about who sits at the controls. Iran. Iran's coastline runs along the northern edge for hundreds of kilometers. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps patrols these waters aggressively. They know this strait is their single greatest leverage point. Iranian leaders have repeatedly threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz if their interests are threatened. In 2019, Iran seized a British-flagged oil tanker. In 2024 and 2025, these threats have become louder and more frequent. Iran's anti-ship missile batteries are positioned along the coastal terrain. Its fast attack boats and mine-laying capabilities are designed for straight warfare. The U.S. Fifth Fleet is based in Bahrain precisely because of this. Its mandate is keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. Let us walk through what happens if it closes. Within 24 hours of a disruption, oil prices would spike dramatically. Closure could send oil prices to anywhere between $150 to over $250 per barrel almost instantly. Translate that to the gas pump, you would be looking at fuel prices doubling or tripling in days. For countries like Japan, this is a civilizational crisis. Manufacturing, agriculture, transport, all run on imported oil. A sustained closure would force emergency energy rationing across Asia within weeks. For Europe, the indirect effects would be equally devastating. European energy infrastructure is already strained after the Russia-Ukraine conflict reshaped the continent's energy supply chains. It does not have the stored reserves to absorb a sudden 20% cut in global oil supply for an extended period. LNG prices would skyrocket, electricity prices would follow, industrial output across Germany, France, Italy, all of it would be forced to slow or shut down. For the United States, which has become more energy independent through domestic shale production, the impact is slightly more buffered, but not by much. America still participates in a globally priced oil market. When global oil prices spike, American prices spike too. The economic contagion would spread far. Airlines would ground routes. Logistics companies would pass costs onto every product they move. Inflation, already a painful reality, would surge. The global economy, which runs on the assumption of cheap, reliable energy, would hit a wall. Now, let's look at the history. The Strait of Hormuz has already been a war zone. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, both countries attacked oil tankers in the Gulf. Between 1984 and 1988, over 400 ships were attacked. Oil prices surged, shipping insurance rates exploded. The U.S. eventually had to escort tankers. This was Operation Earnest Will, the largest American naval convoy operation since World War II. The world got through it, but barely. The global economy of the 1980s was far less integrated and dependent on just-in-time supply chains than it is today. A repeat scenario today would have consequences that would dwarf the 1980s. More recently, in 2019, a series of tanker attacks sent insurance premiums soaring. Major shipping companies rerouted vessels. Oil markets lurched. The conclusion was stark. There is no good alternative. There is no quick fix. You might ask, Surely there are alternative routes or pipelines? Saudi Arabia has the East-West Petroline, moving 5 million barrels per day. The UAE has the Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline. Together, these routes can move roughly 6.5 million barrels per day away from the Strait. But remember, 21 million barrels per day flow through the Strait. That is a gap of 15 million barrels with absolutely no alternative routing. No pipeline, no overland route. There is no workaround for 70% of the flow. The Strait of Hormuz is functionally irreplaceable. Why is this critical right now? Because the geopolitical environment in 2025 is arguably the most volatile it has been in a generation. The Houthi movement has already attacked shipping in the Red Sea, forcing companies to reroute around the Cape of Good Hope, adding millions in costs. The Red Sea disruptions were a warning shot. The Strait of Hormuz is the next, and far more devastating, potential flashpoint. The Strait of Hormuz is the single most important 21-mile stretch of water in the world. It is the artery of the modern global economy. Understanding this is essential. Next time you see headlines about Middle East tensions, you know where to look. 21 miles? That stops the world. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button. We break down the stories shaping the world. Share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.